Hello friends, a new East Albion server will open very soon and many have a question. How to properly start when opening a new server with a fresh economy. Now I will tell you about 5 simple and effective ways to earn money, based on my experience from the start of Albion almost 6 years ago. And for that, I'll just ask you to put your thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. In general, enough talk, let's go figure it out. The whole concept of earning money at the start of the server is based, let's say, on the discovery. The faster you progress in one aspect or another, the less competition there will be and the more market coverage you will get. Perhaps the basis of the entire economy of Albion is gathering. Whoever farm faster will get a lot of high-level resources with minimal competition. And well as enchanted level for resources that will not be contested as much as on the current server, because the black zones will not yet be massively built up with hideouts. In general, any resource that you choose will have a high value, since it will be bought by all crafters not only for the production of equipment, but also for the banal upgrade of crafting, but we'll talk about this later. The cornerstone of everything and everything is such a resource as a stone. At the start of the server in the short term, it will be incredibly valuable because of the construction. The stone is needed not only for the same hideout, but also for building for crafting, since without their improvement, crafters cannot create higher level equipment that everyone needs, including the same gatherer. But again, if you start not 5 days before the official release on March 20th, but say, the 15th or at least the 17th, which can be done by buying the Founders Packs, then I would not recommend the stone. It is better to choose anything, but not a stone. Since the low tier of the stone will no longer have the same demand and cost as on the release of the starter packs, and on the high tier, starting with the 7 tier, there will already be high competition. But any other resource will still have value due to the enchantment and demand of low-tier items on the black market, unlike stone, which is needed only for the construction and repair of buildings. In addition to gathering, you also won't get far without crafting. In fact, crafting is like advanced technologies that allow you to fight better, gather better and farm mobs better. Crafting is much more complicated than gathering, and here you already need to turn your head more and analyze the market. At the start of the server, you can earn money using crafting in 3 ways. This is either to provide advanced crafting, that is, to chase for a level of production. For example, if you are the only one or you have only a few such players who are improved by crafting tier 8 axes, then only you will receive income from the sale of this weapon. You are the only supplier of such equipment on the market and only you create an offer for it, independently adjusting the cost. And believe me, there will be demand, because it is much easier and faster to level up wearing items than improved crafting this item. In addition, in such a situation, you will even be able to create objects without focusing, it will still be profitable. But again, this tactic works if you start earlier than the main part of the players, and therefore I would choose the second method. This is to cover all kinds of crafting, buying up a lot of low-level cheap resources, turning them into equipment and transporting all this junk to the black market, which at the start time will be very voracious, because everyone is improved and farming mobs, and the supply of goods to the market will not be as large as it is now on the Western server. The third method is the easiest in terms of execution, it is the recrafting of resources. You gather or just buy resources, but it already needs at least some capital. Take these resources to specialized cities for recrafting, for example, in City Bridge Watch, stone or in a Martlock, animal skin, and it's all processed into materials. Then you sell at auction in the city where the most crafting from this material. Ideally, you can create a whole network of additional characters in order to use the focus to recycle resources on a large scale, thus creating an entire factory. In general, this is a win-win option, and it works great even on a Western server. In third place, not that it was any kind of top earnings, but there will still be farming. It affects all the previous methods, providing both various buffs and the necessary equipment in the form of mounts, and also serves as an indispensable power source for production. But about everything in order. The most important thing is the mounts. Without pumped farming, players will continue to move on mules that have no speed, no transportable weight. Yes, we will be given a grizzly to test the adventurer, but still the loss of this mount may be inevitable, and it will not be relevant everywhere. For example, a player will not go to the Cursed Dungeons, Hell Gate, Mists or the Roads of Avalon in a 4-tier equipment on a grizzly, which is easy to lose there in any PvP. Therefore, even 3-tier mounts, bulls and horses will have a good value at the beginning, and in terms of the ratio of silver to gold at the start, I would even say that a very decent value. In addition, as with crafting, having upgraded animal husbandry to a higher tier, you can be one of the first producers of swift claws, deer and boars, which can also significantly raise your financial situation. And of course the expense. You can either simply grow ingredients for cooking and alchemy, or start producing this business. Because in particular, food will be in great short supply while players increase a large amount of production on their islands. After all, food is not only buffs for the character, it is a necessary thing for the maintenance of crafting building, because feeding crafting buildings with their favorite food is much more profitable than any other. Therefore, having studied crafting in cities and the number of crafting buildings with the necessary food, you can earn very good money on this. Of course, there is an easier way of farming by its mechanics. This is a pure silver farm with killed mobs and chests. Starting from the very beginning, perhaps the best option for farming is simply to kick mobs in the open world. In the early days, the loot from the mobs will be almost no, until the black market is not filled. But we only need to get pure silver, so I'm talking about farming mobs in the open world, and not in some solo dungeons. What would I do with silver? Perhaps the only true option is simply to convert it into gold. Because 100% of the price of gold, no matter what injections of this currency are, will grow and grow rapidly. Therefore, investing in gold will be super relevant at the start of the server. In the future, when the crafter will bring equipment to the market and to the black market at the expense of the black market, you can go to solo dungeons, cursed dungeons, the roads of Avalon, and if there is a group, then group dungeons in the hunt for artifacts, the same roads of Avalon, static dungeons, and of course the Hell Gates. By the way, Hell Gate are a great option for farm. Convenient, practical, you can farming XP and immediately take out loot in the same Corleone. The only thing you need to be able to play PvP, because it will be sooner or later. And in the end, let's say, bonus, I would like to advise a factional war. It is great for all those players who prefer to stay on the royal continent. Faction war banally increases your earnings from any grind, resource gathering, fishing and killing mobs. Also, if you don't like full loot PvP, you can visit attacks on forts in blue and yellow zones, getting fractional currency for all these activities. At the start of the server, the fractional currency will be quite valuable, since the importance of cloaks in any kind of PvP and PvE is also quite high. It's hard to imagine, for example, some healer without a Lumhurst cloak or a DD in the same corrupted dungeons without a Tatford cape. Therefore, in the beginning, and in the future, the faction has a good benefit. And after improve the rank of the chosen faction, we will be able to buy cubs for growing riding mounts. Some of them will be almost indispensable for the game. And many will have a question which faction to choose. In my opinion, the best are the Lumhurst. This is a mana cloak and, of course, a boar, which gatherers love so much. Fort Sterling is a cape for the gatherer and DPS in mass PvP, and a bear, which is great for transporting large cargo. Tatford is just a nice cape that solo players often use. Well, the mount is not the best, but it will okay. Well, Corleone. Mount Wolf. A very useful fast mount for gunkers and fast travel around the world. The cape is not the most relevant, but it's also nothing like that. All the information was submitted quite succinctly. For all these ways of earning, in the future there will be separate big guides if you support this video with your activity. In general, such basic ways of earning, in my opinion, will be the best at the start of a new server. If you haven't played Albion yet, then now is the time to start on a new server. The link to the game will also be in the description. That's actually all. Put your likes, subscribe, go to the Twitch, the Discord is visited and the Telegram. That's it, Regaro was with you, and we'll see you again.